This is the kneeling hip flexor stretch. This is commonly done very wrong. So for those of you that have tight hip flexors, stretching your hip flexors only is not going to be the solution to tight hip flexors. There are other reasons behind why hip flexors are tight. A lot of it has to do with the tilt of our pelvis and where we tend to carry our weight load, but knowing how to do a correct hip flexor stretch is going to be helpful. So here's the wrong way. As you can tell, Marley's been working very hard back there. She hasn't moved in about 3 videos. But anyways, so the wrong way to do a hip flexor stretch. We often see this set up like this, okay? And then we see this big lumbar curve in the back, okay? And we see the hip flexor pressed forward. And while people may find tension there, but it is not creating the inhibition needed in the hip flexor to be able to put it into the proper space. So what we have to do again is always look for where is our stacked position, okay? So when we find the stack where our rib cage connects correctly or points towards our pelvis correctly, so we take a breath in, exhale, sigh. Good. Then I feel my rib cage tipping and tilting down posteriorly. Okay. Then I feel that my rib cage is in line with my pelvis. And then I'm just going to gently tuck down a little bit, gentle, like a 1 or 2 out of 10. And then I'm going to start to feel a new section here. So then we just gently take this area and push that forward mildly. Don't do this. Okay, you see this, don't do that. It's really not doing much of anything in that position. We want to be able to create the inhibition needed to open up this part of our hip flexor. And then what people start to notice sometimes is they'll start to say, oh, I feel my hamstring and glute. Yes, right? And not from a crunching way or a squeezing way, but just because they notice that that muscle starts to activate. And then you would do the same thing on the other side. So when we're in this position, again, remind yourself, am I extended here? Do I have a big range between my rib cage and my pelvis? Or can I exhale? And as I exhale, then I notice, okay, my rib cage is coming down, okay, towards my pelvis. And then I can kind of feel a little bit gentle activation of my hamstring. And then I'm just going to take this area here and just press it forward very gently. And then I'll feel, okay, some expansion here. So what you can do, this is a second way that you can stretch your hip flexor. So this way, we have you lay down here, gonna come back in this position. When I'm here, my rib cage is tucked down towards my pelvis. I feel like my back might be in a little bit of rounded flexion. Then I'm gonna let my leg come down and I'm gonna try to reach the floor, but I can't do that by doing this. Going back into extension because that defeats the purpose. So we come back here, hold on to that position, sigh, find that connection to these internal obliques, your side abs, then let your leg drop. And don't cheat by letting your leg fall to the outside, right? We want to keep our knee straight out ahead of us in a neutral position. Then we try to find the floor. When we do this, then we can feel a stretch here. Then you would bring your leg back, do the same thing on the other side, okay? And make sure that when you go to touch the floor, that you're keeping this internal oblique connected here, that you feel that you can still maintain a connection. And then just hold that position. You're gonna feel your hip flexor expand in this position. And then you can come back up and do a second set on each side. This is also a very helpful stretch for the hip flexors. But again, this is not a fix for the hip flexors being tight. The fix is realigning your pattern and your posture.